Well, hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything, and I'm coming at you with another From the Verse. And in this From the Verse, we're going to be talking about what had transpired in PAX South. All right, let's get some light on the subject here. All right, there we go. Now, today, what we've got is we've got us in the hangar in our Hornet here, taking a look. You can kind of see the Bengal class carrier hangar there. Now, my co-hosts were unable to make it today, so it is going to be one of those me describing what I had taken away from the PAX South panels. And if you have any additional comments or questions for me, because I'm only going to talk about the highlights. So if you have any questions or concerns about the panels, feel free to ask me in Twitch so that we can answer those. All right, now before we get into that, I want to congratulate my aerospace squadron, the 1st Royal Aerospace Squadron, for having successfully, let's see if I can get to the home page on this thing here just a second, man. I'm going to pull up our squadron website, and I just want to kind of brag on them a little bit. Drag that over to the screen. There, I don't know if you can see that right there. You can't see that because I am in the screen here. Hold on, let's get to the, there we go. We are number 15 against a grand total of, what is that? I can't even see that. This monitor. Well, shoot, I can't even see that. What is that? 1,000 plus, you know, and being number 15 is pretty damn awesome. And then if you scroll down to just our individuals here, now I'm bragging on myself. I'm number 87 out of, what is it, what did I say? 3,261 results. I thought that was pretty dang awesome. Get back to business. All right, now in the there's a lot of news going on in Star Citizen this week with PAX South and a lot of I don't know if you guys watched the Around the Verse and then also watched like thanks for appreciate that Reverse the Verse and then also the 10 for the Chairman and all that. And if you notice in this last 10 for the Chairman, yours truly's question was actually answered. I think it was like the 3rd question asked. How many ships could go through a jump point? Basically, that's still under debate, you know. And that's, they showed off what the jump points are going to look like and the wormholes and things like that in at PAX. They showed a video of that, which I don't have for you. But you can go to YouTube and just find that yourself. There's like 3 or 4 different people that uploaded that to YouTube. So let's talk about the panel. So I like to have an hour show, but since there's not going to be a whole lot of back and forth between my 2 co-hosts that I normally have right here, right there. Okay, as you can see, those seats are empty. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to tell you what I thought about it. And if you have any questions or if you have any comments, feel free to type them up into our Twitch chat. All right, panel 1 was called Path You Choose. Okay, and this is where they talked about, as a player, how you proceed with the, let me rephrase that, how you progress and how you, what kind of like jobs you take, and basically just what you can do in the game. And I'm going to go by bullet points that I have here. One of the first ones they talked about was detailed customization available to characters. They said it was going to be extremely customizable. You know, you're going to have a slider bar where you're going to have a thin character, a fat character, you're going to have a tall character, a short character, but that's going to be limited by the maximum available space that you have in your cockpit. There's only going to be a range of height and weight, you know, so you're going to have to fit inside that so that you can fit inside your Hornet cockpit, you know. Also, there's going to be layered clothes where you can stack your, like you'll have pants, but your shirt might be untucked, or you might have a tucked shirt. You might have skivvies on underneath. And they did say that that's as low as you could go. So you can't strip completely nude. You're going to, the lowest they're going to have is a baked on skivvies on your avatar. And then what else did they say? Yeah, like you could have a t-shirt with a vest and then maybe a coat on top of that. So yeah, you can stack your clothes, and I assume that means you can stack your armor also, because you might have some kind of like fiber vest, like a Velcro, not a Velcro, let me see, like a Kevlar, you know, shirt, and then you might have like a plated spacesuit, and then maybe on top of that you have some kind of strap-on plates or something. But yeah, they did say it could be very layered, and if that reminds me of the character customization system that Warhorse is doing for their medieval game that they're creating, Kingdom Come. Yeah, and they said, Kingdom Come even said that they were sharing their customization technology with Star Citizen, so that was kind of a mutual endeavor. And they didn't mention their name though, so I don't know if there was conversation fell through, or if they just forgot, or some other people are taking over that process. I don't know. But Mark Skelton was there, and he stated that he was talking about the new hair technology. They're developing a technology specifically to model each individual strand of hair, it sounds like. And they even talked about beards, but probably not. Now, they're going to input, okay, point 2 is they're going to put a SIM pod in your hangar so that you can access the SIM pod to do Arena Commander, and also to do the first-person shooter. Basically, any of the virtual games inside Star Citizen, you'll have to get into your sim pod to do that. Okay, so because they wanted it to be a more immersive experience, they don't want people to just hit escape and get into Arena Commander, because that's too gamey, and they're trying to get it to be more like you have to go to the arcade machine and actually play it. Okay, and number 3 was they stated that the hangars are going to possibly adopt a Japanese style garage turntable, where the ships will be on these rotating hangar floors, and like you'll have a retaliator here, and you can call up your Hornet and it'll roll, and then the Hornet will pop up. That's for the players that have a huge number of ships, because currently the hangars are not large enough to have the same number of ships that a lot of players have. And also they don't want the hangars to be, you know, like splayed out so long that you have to get in your buggy and like cruise all the way to the other end. And they even talked about turbo. They're not going to let you like turbo all the way down there, you know, or jump your ships with the buggy. You know, they said it's going to be kind of a turntable kind of thing. And I thought, yeah, ships are heavy, so I don't know, these turntables are going to have to be pretty sizable, I would think, right? All right, now number 4 was the planets are going to have gun carry permits, and that's going to be inspected every time you get into your, go through customs. They're going to determine if you have a permit to be able to carry, and if not, they're going to cause you to either put your guns up, or if you're a criminal, of course, they're going to, you know, apprehend you or detain you, or if you're just one of those people that are banned from the planet, then they're going to turn you away. All right, now number 5 was all money is going to be digital. All right. All right, cool. All right, and what am I saying? All money is going to be digital. There's not going to be any physical currency. So there's not like the comment, the example they gave was there's not going to be like a bar with a cash register where you can rob the till or whatever. It's all transactions through digital means in the game too. Okay, and then there's not going to be any classes, meaning there's no specific jobs like fighter or wizard or something like that. It's going to be basically just go and do what you want to do and do it, how you want to do it. And your only limitation is your equipment and your ship's capabilities. And then they also they showed off the detailed mechanics of mining. The example was you're going to have a ship, you're going to back yourself up to an asteroid or some other place that you're mining. You're going to have a player or an NPC manning the cutting lasers, and they're going to be cutting the rock off of the asteroid. You're going to have another person manning, or another NPC manning the tractor, and they're either going to be pulling or pushing the rock, because you're going to push the rock out of the way if it's not what you're actually looking for, but you're going to pull it into your cargo hold. And then there's going to be another person that's manning the scanners, and he's going to be able to tell you like which rocks to cut and what's available in the rocks. But he's also going to be able to tell you if you've struck some kind of dangerous like explosive gases or something like that. They're going to see like pressure building up in the rocks, and so there's going to be an indication of if there's going to be something catastrophic or something bad happen. So you need to tell the pilot to get out of there before that rock blows up. So what they're saying is you're going to need a crew of people to help you do this in a timely manner, but if you want to do it by yourself, you can. You just pilot it up, back it up to a rock, get out, cut a few, scan it first, take a look, see where the minerals are. Then you'd have to move over to the laser and start cutting rock chunks out. And then you'll have to move over to the tractor beam to actually beam it into your ship. And they're going to say that that's going to take a lot longer, right? But what if you don't have somebody actively monitoring the scanner while you're cutting, and you hit one of those pockets of explosive gases or something? Then when it explodes, you'll have no warning, and then so they're showing that it's could be dangerous to do it by yourself. So yeah. So make sure that you bring enough people to help you out, or NPCs. Okay, and then they showed off they mentioned that the NPCs will actually increase in skill as you go along with different missions. Like if you have an NPC that you put into a gun turret, and Chris said if you get into like 10 to 20 battles, then his skill might go up. He might become more accurate or more brave. They're going to have a lot of stats that you don't get to see behind the scenes. And then those stats could be increased, but you'd never know it unless you physically observe them becoming a better shot or what have you. Okay, and he also talked about various exploration missions and the dangers associated with that. He said an explorer doesn't necessarily go out and just find new things. That's not necessarily the explorer. He called it a pioneer, but it's not exactly what it does. There's going to be missions that are specifically geared to an explorer / pioneer type profession, and one of the examples he gave was there's going to be a comet flying through a system, and the science committee or whatever wants photos of the comet from the rear, and it wants to see chunks of rock breaking off of the comet. So you'll have to fly your ship up to the comet, get behind the comet where these rocks are breaking off and flying past you, and you're going to have to use your skill to dodge these rocks while you're taking the 30 to 60 minute video that it said that the committee's going to want. So I thought that was pretty cool. Yeah, and so that was that was pretty much, I mean, now remember, they're good, the panels are really long-winded, and they said a lot of stuff over and over and over. They said the same things over and over and over. So what I'm doing today is I'm summarizing. Okay, I'm cutting that all off. We don't need to hear all that. All right, now panel number 2, they started talking about travel. Okay, and they said quantum travel, of course, is 0.2 the speed of light. They're going to have 2 concentric circles. You're going to have a circle and then an outside circle. And when you pick a destination, let's say you want to go to the moon, right? The moon is going to be somewhere on your HUD. There's going to be a circle, and you're going to have to aim at that circle, and you're going to have to get your quantum drive circle to be lined up exactly on that moon, because you have to aim it directly straight at it. Because once you're in quantum travel, you're not going to be able to maneuver your ship. It's a transition between maps. That's really all it is. But you line it up, and you have to charge your quantum drive. And they said that could take anywhere between 30 and 60 seconds. While you're charging your quantum drive, you cannot come under fire. Your ship cannot be hit or disturbed. You can't bump an asteroid. You can't get hit with a missile or any of that, because that'll start your countdown timer again, because it has to charge up again. And so they're not wanting you to like use quantum travel to get out of combat, unless you can like kind of break away from the pack and then line up your quantum drive. You can do that. But if you're engaged in a furball, you're not going to be aiming directly at the moon and then waiting 30 to 60 seconds to get the quantum drive to kick in. Okay. Now, the next point, number 2, was jump travel. Okay, now jump travel, you use wormholes to get from system to system. We all know this. And they said that the wormholes are going to be classified a couple of different ways. One of them is going to be by size. And they said that they're going to have 3 sizes. You're going to have small, medium, and large, obviously. And the small one is going to be size 1, and that's going to take like fighter, Avenger, maybe Cutlass size ships, Gladiator, that kind of ship is going to be size 1. And then size 2 is going to be your multi-crew ships, like a Retaliator or Constellation or something like that. And then I'm not sure exactly how big, because he says size 3 is going to be large enough to take capital ships. But they're also going to be broken down by like how difficult they are to traverse. Some of the wormholes are going to be just holes, and you just fly straight through, no problem. Some of them are going to be like oblong, and they're going to constrict and contract, and you're going to have to constantly be doing one of these numbers to get through, and that's not too difficult. But then there's going to be other wormholes that are going to have like walls, some tendons or something like that inside the wormhole, so you're going to have to kind of fly around and dodge those, and those are going to be a little bit more difficult. And then they're going to have those that contract and expand and have the walls and change directions and stuff like that, and those are going to be like really hard ones to traverse. And then they also said on top of that some wormholes are going to have individual characteristics that are different than any other wormhole. So you'll like each different jump point some of them are going to have unique characteristics, giving them a life of their own, basically. One second. And then they also talked about if you fail to complete a jump. Now what they mean by that is you bump the edges, you don't make the turn like you're supposed to, you crash into one of the sinews or walls inside the jump point. Some of the jump points look like they have branches, and one is the correct branch and the other one is an incorrect branch, and if you take the incorrect branch, you run into a dead end or what have you and die. Well, if you've made it through about 10%, I'm sure it's going to be a little bit more than that, but he said about 10% of the jump point, you're not going to instantly be dead. What's going to happen is it's just going to spit you back out in the originating jump point. So you'll just go back to the system you started and your ship will be severely damaged. But they said that if you make it through about 90% of the jump point, you've only got about 10% left, and you bump the walls or crash into something, then you'll still reach your destination, but your ship will be completely damaged. You know, it'll not completely damaged, but it'll be damaged. And then there's other times that maybe like if you only made it through like 50% of it, you bump a wall, you're you're probably going to die. That's not completely worked out yet. You know, none of this actually that I'm talking about is completely worked out yet. It's all still in development, but this is what they're thinking and where they're going. Okay, and number 5, they mentioned that they're planning on having large FPS battles in the cities and on stations. So let me rephrase that. They're not planning on doing it. They're planning to allow it. So they're planning to have large FPS battles in the cities and on stations. So that'll be exciting. What do they consider large? Hundreds. Okay. Now here's a disappointing fact that a lot of, it's not disappointing to me because it doesn't affect me in one way or another at all. But it affects these guys. It affects some players out there. They think they, rephrase that. Some people out there, megalomaniacs. You know, they want to control everything. They want to, yeah. Well, okay. So let me say what they said. They said players are not, and I'll underline that, not with an underline, in quotes, italics, bold. Okay. They're not going to be able to impact the economy. Okay, in a significant way, and I mean, yes, you can impact the economy on a microscopic way. So, like if you see a freighter bringing in ore, and you stop it, you take the ore, and you take it to another system or whatever. Yes, you did hurt the economy on that planet, but one ship doesn't make an impact on the economy. Now, if you're talking about a moon out in the middle of nowhere and they only get like a shipment of one ship comes per month and you stop that one ship, yeah, that might affect that moon's economy. But on a planet that gets thousands of ships that come in every day and you stop one, that's not going to impact it. Okay. What he said was he uses the spring analogy where you have a spring when it's extended. Yeah, you can push you can push easy on the top and you can make that spring move, but the more you press down on that spring, the harder and harder it is to press. So yeah, you can have minor changes to the economy, but you are not going to change anything massive in the way of the UEE or any populated system. Okay, now point 7 kind of explains why I'm saying this, or why they said this. They're going to have 2 persistent universe servers. Okay, there's going to be one that runs nothing but the economy, and they're going to call it they don't want to call it the economy server, they call it the universe server. It runs all of the NPCs inside the universe, okay, which there's going to be 10-to-1 NPCs to players. And these NPCs are going to be flying from planet to planet inside this second server that we don't see, and they will be making transactions, they will be buying and selling cargo, they will be pirating, they will be having, some merchants are going to be attacked by pirates, and there's going to be distress calls, and all that stuff is all going on this server that has no players. And that's how the economy and the universe is going to run. And the referees, i.e. the devs, are going to have eyes into that server, and they can make changes to it as they need. Then, we are in our persistent universe, which we fly around and we do our things, but we don't see what's going on that server. Okay, now that server, from time to time, will be communicating, well, constantly, will be communicating with the persistent universe server. But what it's doing is it's telling it, like in the referee server, basically, there was an engagement between a pirate and a merchant ship, and so it said that would make a good, what was the word he used? A probability cube. And so they take that and they put that into our universe, and they say, over here in the middle of nowhere, they create this instance where a merchant is being attacked by pirates and sends out a broadcast for like a distress signal or something like that. And then we as players, as we're flying around doing our thing, on our HUD, we get this distress call. If we click on it and we go to that instance, then we will be able to participate in that instance. But that instance wasn't created in the world that we are in. It was created in the economy server. So yeah, you blow up or you rescue or whatever, and then that information will actually go back to the economy server, and the economy server will say, okay, this one ship was saved, okay, so 10 tons gets delivered. Or the ship was not saved, the pirates won, 10 tons go to the pirates. That's not going to break the economy. That's not going to destroy the economy in any way. The economy is running in the background, you know. For it, he made a comment about for the players to be able to move the needle just a little bit, you're going to have thousands of players like engage in some kind of massive battle somewhere, and then all the missiles get used up, and you use up all the missiles, you buy up all the missiles, and all of a sudden there's a glut in missiles. That'll actually get transmitted back to the economy server, where the needle might move like, like this much. So will you be able to control a certain portion of the universe? Sure. I mean, if there's an asteroid belt and it's got iron and you want to control it, put your 100 guys on that asteroid. Guess what? When I get there, I'm going into the second instance, and the asteroids are still going to be there. Well, unless, of course, there's still room in your instance, and then I show up and you blow me up. Talking about instances, we'll be talking about that here in just a moment. Okay, because I'm jumping to panel 3 now. In panel 3, they said they're going to, it's called the social panel, and they said it will be implemented by the end of March. Well, they said end of March, beginning of April, so, but most of them are saying the end of March, so that's what I'm thinking. Now, they're going to add an elevator. As you know, in your hangar, you got this big, huge door that's usually right behind you. Well, I think that's going to be an elevator, because they said there's going to be elevators added to your hangars to permit access to other players' hangars. Let's say I drop an invite to Rimmer, right? And I say, hey, Rimmer, come check out my retaliator, and I drop him an invite. He can accept the invite, and if he does, he will go to his elevator and go up to my level, whatever it is, and then be able to get out into my hangar. You can't do that unless I've sent him the invite first, because you just can't go to somebody's hangar when they're not there, or if they don't want you to come in, or whatever. And that's going to be pretty cool, because then you're going to be able to walk around and like both get into the retaliator and kind of cruise around and just BS or whatever as characters inside. And it's going to be the first multiplayer walk around, right? But then at the same time, they're hoping to give you access to Stanton on ArcCore. So that is a little bit more difficult but Chris wants it, so I bet you they're going to have it, where we can get out of the hangar together, and we're going to be able to walk around to the different shops. Originally, what was planned was you would go to Stanton by yourself. You would walk around and see a bunch of NPCs, but Chris wants that to be a cooperative event where players can invite each other to go to the city also. You can't really do anything there. I mean, you can look at the sites, you can see the NPCs going about their business, and you can visit the shops and see how the interaction and the way your mobiGlas is going to work and all that stuff. You can actually experience all that, which is going to be really cool. I think that's going to be pretty darn cool. But you can't buy anything. You can't. You're probably not going to be able to pull your gun out and start shooting at each other. Even though they did say that if you were in Arena Commander, Chris made this comment. He says, "I'm not sure if anybody's done this, but I think you can already do this. If you both get out of your fighter, you can walk around on the little landing platform shooting each other with your pistols." So I don't know. I haven't tried that yet, but I think that would be kind of cool just to do it once. But okay, because I have landed on the platform before, and I have gotten out of my Hornet, and then I started to float away. But I heard they fixed that, so we'll see. Okay, yeah, that number 2 is you're going to be able to browse the shops. You're going to be able to see the NPCs going about the city and stuff like that. Jim, that's correct. If that's a question, that's correct. If that's a statement, it's also correct. Either way, it's correct. And then let's look at number 3, your friends list. Yeah, your friends list right now, it's gonna change to an actual MMO style friends list. Right now, it's more of a Twitter type friends list where you can click on someone and just follow them without their permission, right? Like I could find somebody in the universe, pull up his name, and I could hit follow, and I'll see anytime that he's online or where he's at and stuff like that. Well, they don't want that. They want you to have to send them a friend invite, and that person that's receiving the friend invite has to accept before you two are linked together. So don't accept any friend invites from your enemies. Hey, cow dog. Yeah, that's what they said. Because right now, like in our squadron, if the way we're doing it in our squadron is you go to our member list, you click on somebody's name, it pops up, and at the very bottom it just says follow. And if you click follow, he'll appear in your lobby, and you'll be able to know whenever he's logged on, so you can invite him into a match or something like that. And they want to get away from that. They want it to be both parties have to accept. Well, okay, that's panel 4. I'll get to that in just a second, Jim. Okay, but that was the friends list. And then, oh, okay. All right, Cal. So you missed the first part. Okay, don't worry. I will upload this to YouTube also when it's all done, or when it's done recording, you can always go back and watch it because it'll be in the in my video list. But also, okay, over where it has the contact list, right? And then over the next 10 months, while we're playing around with the social module, persistence, going to hangars and stuff like that, they're going to institute this thing where you're flying and your ship will actually retain its damage. And when it retains its damage, you'll see it like in your hangar damaged. But there's going to be a button somewhere, I don't know where it is, that all you have to do is click it and it will refresh your account basically, and all your ships will be fresh again. Because they don't want you to like get your ship blown up and then now you can't play for the rest of the 10 months or whatever. So they said there will be a button to let you reset your ship back to new. And yeah. And then what else? On number 5, it says, oh, when you're in space and you find yourself in an instance and maybe your friends are in another instance, it's probably not going to happen. I'll explain that in a minute. But you will not be able to change your instance manually. There's no way to go, I want to change from this shard to this shard or whatever you're used to from like other games. dimensions or servers or whatever. You can't actually manually change. The computer system, the matchmaking system, is going to match you to the best of its ability, and you'll just have to deal with it. Um, One thing that he said was the instances, you're not going to be put in a second instance until that first instance is full. Okay, so if there's a 100 player limit in an instance and you jump in, you're going to be in the same instance as those other players. If there's only, like, let's say 50 of them, you're going to be there. But if they have like 90, 98 or something like that, then you'll still go in with them. But if you've got a team of like 5 and you're all in a party, then you might go into a second instance because your 5 is going to overload that instance. So, and the way and let's say you're on a planet like Terra, and they're anticipating having like 20 instances in each area because there's going to be so many players on Terra. It's like a starting zone, or it's going to be a destination. So when you go to Terra, you're going to be in an instance, and there's going to be like maybe 100 or 200 players in your instance, but those are the only 200 players you're going to see. The other 1,000 players are going to all be in other instances. So they're going to, but the way they're going to try to keep you together is, they said if you're in a party, you're going to be together in an instance, and then if the matchmaker can find an instance where your friends are at, it's going to put you in that instance because it wants to match you up with your friends. And then it's going to match you up by ping. So if you've got a low ping, it's going to put you in a low ping server, so that, or a similar ping, so that you're not taken advantage of by high ping or low ping, right? And then there's going to be location, which also would relay into ping, but they said like geographical location. The closer you are to their the server node, then you would be like, if I have a server node here in Tennessee, and they said they're going to be using Google as their server provider. So if I have a Google server in Tennessee, let's say, and I'm in Tennessee, and you're in Russia, you're probably not going to be in the same instance as me. You're going to be in a different instance. Also, they're going to try to pair you up. If none of those other things happen, and just based on other things, they said skill level. Now, the only way I can think of that they would be able to match us up by skill is because skill. It's going to have to be like your kill-death ratio, or like how long you've played or something, because your character doesn't have any skill levels. It's all based on you. So they're going to have to keep track of like how well you're playing or how well off you are or something. And then there's going to be others maybe that will match you up. Okay, and then number 7, this was kind of an interesting point, and this was kind of, they were working it out at the panel. They said that, let's say you're in space, and you get out of your ship, and you get into a friend's ship, and then he flies off and goes to the next system. What happens to your ship? They said, will it just despawn and go back to your hangar? Will there be like an autopilot feature where it flies back to your hangar? And they said, no. What they're thinking is it will disappear in that area of space, so nobody else can like fly in and just take it. But it still will be saved in that location. So whenever you get back to that location, you and you alone will be able to see your ship respawn or be there, so that you can get back in it and fly it home. So that was kind of cool in a way. It's kind of realistic that you left your ship there, but not economically, but just technologically, and the amount of memory that would be required to remember where everybody's ship is all the time would be astronomical. So they're not going to and display it there so that whenever you fly through space, you like see this abandoned ship and you can go take it. They don't want to do that, and they don't because and game the fun level. They don't want to interfere with your fun. So if you want to get and space is so huge, nobody would find your ship if you left it out in deep space somewhere. I mean, it would be like finding a needle in a needle stack. I mean, it would be like really hard. Okay, and then that was the three panels, and then they had a fourth panel where they were just like asking questions. Uh, they called it their elevator ideas. Let me I wrote some down. Let me find that. Sorry, guys. Okay, it's the idea panel or the elevator ideas, and they give them 90 seconds to ask the question or pitch their ideas, and then if they like it, the panel would respond. If not, they wouldn't respond. But they responded to every question just because they're gracious like that. Hey, Cowdog. I'm reading a question you had a few minutes ago, where it says, "Are you going to play the game or talk to us all night?" Well, this is a show talking about my PAX impressions. It's not a like an Arena Commander show or anything. So if you're here to watch someone dogfight, then you're in the wrong place. Okay. Okay. Some of the ideas. Somebody asked, are we going to have pictures of our predecessor? Because, like when you die for your last death, you have to have an heir acquire all your gear and stuff like that. This guy said, well, why can we have like a picture of our previous character and maybe put it on the wall, and then have like, as we have like many deaths, we'll have many pictures, and that would be our like lineage. And they thought that was a good idea. So they said, yeah, it's possible. Are they going to have more than one fish tank? And are you going to have like saltwater or freshwater fish? And are you going to go to all these planets and collect a fish and have your fish tank so full of fish that it's overflowing? And they just laughed at him and moved on. And then your reputation inside of an organization will actually impact how that organization interacts with other organizations. What else? Yeah, so if you have more than one game package, as you know, if you have more than one game package, you can actually have your second or third or fourth characters active in the universe at the same time, and they can all be NPCs working for you. And Chris was saying that, let's say you've got four characters, and you name one Han, one Chewie, one Luke, one Leia, right? And you have these four all on your ship. At any given day, you can pick which one you want to play. So if you want to play Luke today, you can. And the next day, if you want to play Chewie, you can. So they're totally interchangeable. You can jump around between those characters at any time. I thought that was pretty cool. He also said that your friends, when they log in, if you want them to play with you, they can log into your characters. Like Agent Smith, they can beam into your character, and like if you're Han, you could have another guy take over your second character, which is Chewie, and they can be in Chewie at that time. And they can do that at any time. So let's say you're flying out exploring somewhere, and you get into a dogfight, and you jump on the TeamSpeak, which you should already be on. But if you jump on the TeamSpeak and you say, "Hey guys, I'm in a dogfight. Could a couple of you guys come over and take over my gunners so that I can have some players?" All they have to do is log into your character. I don't know how that's going to work. It's going to be some kind of invite accept thing, and then all of a sudden they'll have control over your second or third characters. So then you'll have actual players acting for you in that instance, or that encounter, which I thought was pretty cool. Okay, They talked about player colonies. Okay, well, some player asked if he was going to be able to establish his own colony if he discovered an unexplored world or what have you. And they said yes, but that's going to be like version 3 of the actual game, way down the line. They will institute additional systems that are out there that can be explored and found, and then you can start establishing colonies on them and stuff like that. But they said that's going to be like an end game type play. Nemesis system. They said there is going to be a nemesis system where you're going to have people out there that are not going to like you, and they will follow you and hunt you down and try to kill you and stuff like that. But on the flip side, it's still the nemesis system, but instead of a negative, like someone that hates you, it can also be a positive, like someone likes you, and so they always keep coming back to you for missions and stuff like that because you've helped them out in the past. So they said the nemesis, they're calling it the nemesis system, but it's really I don't know, a follower. It's someone that likes or dislikes you. So I thought that was pretty cool. Okay, one guy asked if there was going to be strip clubs, casinos, and they kind of avoided that question. But his third part of his question was, were there going to be animals on these planets that you're going to be able to interact with, or maybe they can hunt and kill you or whatever? And the answer was yes, because one of the examples that Chris gave was there's going to be a monastery up on top of a mountain. The only place to land is going to be down in the valley, and then you'll have to get your buggy out, load it up with the supplies that you were hired to deliver to these monks on this mountain, and you're driving up this narrow mountain pass, and some tiger or lion jumps out of the woodwork and attacks you. So, yes. So that sounds really cool. He also said if you were to kill that creature or what have you, you might be able to take a trophy or something like that back to your trophy cabinet, like a skin or something like that. And Zurvik said, I don't want to hear any of that, I'm a vegetarian. So I don't know. But they did avoid the strip club and casino question. There was a couple of questions about crafting, like how to overclock and how it would affect how you could sell it on the open market and the like auction house and stuff like that. And they cut him off and basically said that they're not discussing the crafting system yet. That's still something that they're working on, and they don't want to reveal anything about crafting until maybe a few months down the road. So they said, well, they're not going to answer that question. They just avoided it. And then another guy asks, can you have a 1911? And one of them said, even if we're not allowed, he's pushing for it also because he's a gun nut. So, and that was basically all 3 panels. Well, there's 4 panels that I actually watched. And you can watch all of these on the RSI site, but you'll have to sit through about 4 hours worth of video. And so I just basically cut that down into 50 minutes. So, yeah, I do Arena Commander on Tuesdays. I do a show called Flying with the Colonel, and we do that on Tuesdays. But I'm on there from time to time, just flying with the squadron or whatever. And Bob, huh? Okay. Just like Titan AE. Name the planet Bob. New Earth or Bob. Yeah, so you guys have any questions or comments or concerns about what I discussed? Well, yeah, you can name this. well, most systems are named after their star, right? Or their, and then the planets have their own names, right? Isn't that right? Yeah. So a solar system's named after the star, except for maybe Terra, right? Because Terra is the name of the planet. In what system? In the Terra system. But is the planet named Terra? I mean, is the sun named Terra? I don't think so. Naming planets? I mean, you've got all these planets have names, I guess, right? Well, a lot of these planets right now are like Nix 1, Nix 2, Nix 3, and then you've got uh, Sol 1, Sol 2, Sol 3, right? Where Sol 3 would be Earth, right? And then you've got, uh, but like on our core, each of the different planets have their own name, like Stanton or, uh, you don't even know. It wouldn't. It probably would. The second two would probably be approved, but that first one would probably not be approved. The persistent universe would probably, or I should say, the universe server will probably kick that one out. Oh, they did. They did say that something else. I'm just going off memory right now, but they did say that the wormholes need to be constantly scanned. So and the data needs to be updated. So like when you navigate a wormhole, you learn and you chart that wormhole, but it's only going to be like that for a few, maybe a month or something like that. And so and over time it's gradually going to shift. So it has to be remapped. So the data will constantly be being updated. And if you're going to have to subscribe to the Navigations Guild to get those new updates. They talked about missions and how to get it from the TDD, which is the trade. Did I skip over that whole section? They talked about the trade development division. Yeah, the trade development division is going to give a bunch of missions. It's kind of like a commodity clearinghouse, but also like a mission location. So you can go there and get kind of like a brokerage house or whatever, but you're also going to be able to get missions to do all kinds of things. Um, I lost my train of thought, but yeah, it was about wormholes and stuff. Oh, there's one guy said he was gonna, if he navigated a wormhole and got the data, could he adjust the data and sell it to people so that when they went through the jump point, they would crash or die or whatever? And Chris said no, because not because that's not a cool idea and not because he doesn't want to do that. It's just that they've got so many other things that they're working on. They don't want to dedicate any resources to that. So the only data you can sell is good data. And you can sell it, you know, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Some people were asking, like, for data mining, like how much information that they're going to be able to obtain about other organizations and players and the economy and stuff like that by using like third-party APIs or whatever. And they were kind of wishy-washy on that, but they did say that they're going to put a lot of information on the website, like a stock market ticker tape maybe on the website, so you know like what planets are um, hiring, like what kinds of needing what kind of cargo or whatever. But I mean, they pretty much already have. If you're into that, you could go in and find out like how good each of the organizations are doing and how how they compare to your organization and like what players they have in that organization, because you can pull up those names and then you can look to see how each of those players are doing and all that. All that can be done right now on their website. Uh, Speaking of which, the 1st Royal Aerospace Squadron is number 15, ranked number 15 on Vandal Co-op. That's 15 out of over 1,000. I thought that was pretty awesome. Yeah, I'm pushing that. So yeah, and every one of our players that have played Vandal Co-op is in the top 50%. Some of us are in the top 5%, but yeah, it's pretty good. Okay, they threw something similar with Ed till they patched it. Elite Dangerous, they patched it out. Gotcha. You mean like they tried to have like a ticker tape? But there's also going to be information. There's also going to be information delays. So like, let's say you've got cargo in Stanton that needs to be picked up. If you're in Terra, you're not going to know that until it's probably too late. But if you've got a buddy in Stanton that's watching the Stanton market and he says, hey, they've got this cargo and we need you to get over there. Well, you as a player are going to have to take your ship and actually fly from point A to point B to point B until you get there. And by then it might have already been picked up, or something like that. So a lot of times information is going to be outdated that way. Hey, Joshua, you got here right at the end of the show. I'm only going to be on for another 5 minutes. Yeah, and they also talked about like your phone app. You can actually get into your phone. They're thinking about it, get into your phone app, and you can actually like do trades, assign missions, uh, look at your ship loadouts and stuff like that. So very non-intrusive. It'll just be stuff that you can do. Maybe check the market or check what's available and stuff like that. You can do that directly from your phone app, which I thought was pretty cool. It gives you something to do. Okay, well, I'm sorry. I want to make an announcement pretty much right now. You heard it here first. The From the Verse format is going to change. I'm having a difficulty getting my co-hosts to be available. So what we're going to do is just eliminate the co-hosts altogether, and we'll go with a different format where it'll just be very similar to this one, where I will communicate with the community, and so it'll be a lot smoother, a lot faster, you know. All right, well, I appreciate you guys coming out and checking out this video, and I am going to upload it to YouTube later so you can watch it at leisure or you can share it with your friends. But remember, if you like this channel, go ahead and like or follow us. If you like our YouTube, go ahead and like or follow, subscribe, and you guys all have a great night. I'm going to see you in the verse.